From across the nation and around the world, for Pacifica Headlines, I'm Jesse Lent. A funeral for a married couple and their 2-year-old child killed in last week's U.S. airstrike on Iran's Qeshm Island. Iran's chief negotiator and parliamentary speaker, Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf, vowed the U.S. would, quote, pay the price for their deaths. Footage and reporting courtesy of Al Jazeera. President Donald Trump told Fox News his administration had, quote, very good discussions with Iran during all-day negotiations yesterday. There's been progress made in those talks, but not finality yet. We're hoping that will happen very shortly, Secretary of State Marco Rubio told reporters at the State Department yesterday, according to the BBC. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent told CNBC that there was a, quote, chance we may have a deal today or tomorrow to open the strait and move towards a more normalized position in this conflict. Reuters reports that oil prices fell and stocks jumped in Asian trade today as Wall Street hit record highs on hopes that a deal could soon be reached to restore traffic through the blockaded Strait of Hormuz. According to the International Energy Agency, before the war, roughly 20 million barrels of oil and oil products moved through the Strait of Hormuz per day, making up roughly 20% to 25% of the world's global petroleum and seaborne oil trade. However, Iranian officials continue to deny that any talks between the U.S. and Iran are taking place. Iran's state broadcaster IRIB has quoted what the network called an informed source as saying ongoing talks between Iran and Oman over the management of the Strait of Hormuz, quote, have nothing to do with the United States. Israeli forces have opened fire in several areas today across the Gaza Strip, according to the Palestinian news agency Wafa. Heavy gunfire from Israeli military vehicles was reported around Ad-Dawa Street, northwest of the Naseirat refugee camp in central Gaza. Artillery shelling was also reported in the area. In the Barej refugee camp, also in central Gaza, gunfire and artillery shelling were reported, according to Al Jazeera. Israeli military vehicles were reported to have fired near the Tufa neighborhood in Gaza City. Artillery shelling was also reported in Khan Yunis in the Gaza Strip. The health ministry in Gaza says 2 Palestinians have been killed and 1 person wounded in Israeli attacks across the Strip over the latest 24-hour reporting period. According to the ministry, 2 other people died due to injuries they suffered in previous attacks. Since the U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Palestine began back in October, 1,254 people have been killed and 4,121 wounded, according to Al Jazeera. At least 17 people were killed and dozens wounded in a Russian ballistic missile attack on the Ukrainian capital city of Kyiv and its suburbs before dawn this morning, Ukrainian officials report, as Moscow takes advantage of Kyiv's depleted air defenses. It was the 3rd major attack on Kyiv in a week, according to the New York Times. Progressive Michigan state candidate Abdul El-Sayed currently holds a narrow lead over Congresswoman Haley Stevens in the state's Democratic Senate primary, in a race that is still too close to call, according to the AP. In a speech to his supporters last night, El-Sayed expressed confidence that he would eventually prevail in the race.
Look, I wish I could tell you that I was declaring victory right about now. Turns out it takes a long time to count the votes in Michigan. It's a big state. But I will tell you this. I want you just to reflect on what that means. Right now, we are on track to vastly outvote the historical numbers that we should have expected. And that tells you about the kind of movement that we were able to inspire. We are not a purple state. We are a state in need of a movement to take our politics back.
Footage courtesy of the AP. In the Michigan primary for governor, President Trump's handpicked candidate, Congressman John James, defeated Perry Johnson, a candidate the news agency describes as a, quote, wealthy, free-spending outsider. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson clinched the Democratic nomination for governor, beating challenger Christopher Swanson by over 60 points. In Missouri, former Congresswoman Cori Bush fell short in her rematch against Congressman Wesley Bell, who defeated her 2 years ago. Those are the latest Pacifica headlines. For the Pacifica Network, I'm Jesse Lent.